Chairman of the Citizens Clean Elections Commission this year. It is 11:45 a.m. on September 8th of 2022, and I call this meeting of the Citizens Clean Elections Commission to order. I'd like to ask that audience members please keep their microphone on mute, please, as we're doing this by Zoom. And with that, we will take attendance. Commissioners, please identify yourselves for the record. Commissioner Payton.
I don't know why we're not hearing it.
Hello, Galen Payton.
We're streaming on live too.
Commissioner Kimball.
Mark Kimball is here.
And then is Commissioner Titla on the line?
Yeah, I just signed in now. Here.
Okay, and then is Commissioner Chan on the line or no? Okay, she is not.
She has a lot of other things to do today.
Okay. All right. So let's go to agenda item number 2, which is discussion and possible action on the executive director's report, enforcement and regulatory updates, and legislative update. Tom, anything on that today, or we go ahead?
I think we are good to go ahead. I appreciate it.
Okay. On to agenda item number 3. Which is discussion and possible action on the 2022 general election governor's debate, candidate proposals, format, and attendance. For this agenda item, we'll be discussing our general election governor's debate. First, I want to note, as we just learned, our colleague, Commissioner Chan, she is not on the line today. She's not attending the meeting because she has recused herself. She's recused herself from any issues relating to the governor's election because she is currently an employee of the Secretary of State's office. So she is not participating in the meeting. Additionally, Bill Richards and his colleague, Natalia Ter Gregorin are also available to provide the commission legal advice if we find the position where we need some. And Tom, since we're doing this virtually, I'd like you to go ahead and introduce this item. Please give an overview of the issue, and then we'll hear from the commissioners. And additionally, I will give an opportunity for any representative of the Hobbs campaign and the Lake campaign to speak to the commission, and then we will have public comment on this issue. So I'm going to kick it to you, Mr. Collins, to provide the overview.
Thank you, Chairman Meyer, commissioners. Thank you to everybody who's here today. I wanted to take a moment to kind of create some context about what the Clean Elections Commission is, because there are a number of folks here who may not be particularly familiar with the agency. One thing, for example, is how to think about a meeting like this, right? As a public meeting. And the way that I think about it as an employee of the board is sometimes questions come in that require me to ask my boss. The board is my boss. And it just so happens that in order to talk to my boss, it has to be a noticed public meeting, right? So it's kind of an important context here to understand that, you know, questions come up in every election cycle that requires to have some kind of special meeting on. I also wanted to briefly, and for those of you who come to our meetings frequently, this will be rehearsal, but I think it's important and to sort of set the context here. The Clean Elections Commission is a 5-member multi-party board that oversees the Clean Elections program. The Clean Elections Act was passed by voters in 1998. And it includes voter education and campaign finance components. And so for the past 20 years, under that statute, which calls for this debate series, the commission has sponsored debates for statewide and legislative candidates. Our legislative debates take place now on Zoom. They used to be all around the state after COVID and the efficiency of that. We learned that doing them on Zoom was more effective. And so those are happening right now. And then our statewide debates kick off on Monday on Arizona PBS. And you should tune in. All of the clean elections debates, whether they're legislative or statewide, are expressly designed to encourage the free exchange of ideas. And the format we have typically allows some kind of direct candidate interaction and respects the content and viewpoint neutrality that the First Amendment requires because, we're a government agency. We work with moderators who are journalists around the state on the legislative debates. And then for our statewide debates, we've worked with Arizona PBS and the producers at Horizon, and Ted Simons, who has been the longtime host of Horizon, is an Emmy Award-winning debate moderator and has long served the Valley as a journalist on television and radio. Clean elections, and this is really, I think, important. Clean elections commitment to voter education and ensuring that voters can actually hear from the candidates is well established, as voters, candidates, and even election professionals know. So our debates have been well attended by candidates including Governor Ducey, Governor Brewer, and Governor Napolitano, as well as countless statewide and legislative candidates. And this year, we anticipate, we're lucky to have, and we're happy to have, candidates in Secretary of State race, Attorney General, Superintendent, Treasurer, and Corporation Commission. So I say all that to say that, because of this board's leadership and our staff's work, specifically Gina Roberts, who's our voter education director, we have established a reputation for handling our voter education program and the debate series in a way that is transparent. I also just want to note, while everyone's here, in addition, the Clean Elections Commission has worked to ensure our voter education guide, which also allows people to hear from candidates, is widely available, and we have ensured that it's translated into languages from Navajo to ASL. In our voter education work, we have traveled from distributing voter registration forms in White River to teaching campaign finance classes in Nogales. Even Commissioner Titla and I have even done live radio in San Carlos. So, the Clean Elections Act says that we're to promote participation and free speech, and with your leadership over the last, 22 years, and certainly over my experience here the last 10, I think we've done that. So that's the overview of clean elections for everybody who may be new to this environment. We're here today, though, out of respect for the people who put themselves forward as candidates for the governor's office, which is the most important office in the state. And, quite frankly, we're here today out of respect for Carrie Lake and for Secretary Hobbs, who has been the chief elections officer in the state for the past 4 years. So, we all know that this is in part because of the Secretary Hobbs proposal, but it's not the role of a bureaucrat like myself to simply dismiss such a proposal out of hand. I want to also, though, I have to, as an attorney and an administrator, make a quick record on where we are and how we got here, so everybody understands, like, why have a commission meeting? The course of time here has been that we sent out our initial save the date in July. We then followed up with a detailed invitation on August 10th that included the format. We asked for an RSVP by August 26th because we were asking, among other partners, the Arizona Broadcasters Association to reserve time for us as a public service to broadcast this event to voters around the state, to reach as many voters as possible in the format that they would like to be reached. So we first heard from the Hobbs campaign on August 22nd. And they, at that time, asked us if we had changes we were going to propose to the format we had sent out. Given that no one had proposed any changes at that time, we simply responded that we did not. And then on August 26th, we received another email that requested a meeting to discuss the matter. We worked with the Hobbs campaign to get that meeting together the next week, but that first email requesting meeting came on the day we were hoping to get an RSVP. So we extended that deadline for a week, But we're, really faced the deadline that we had for making sure we had the broadcast time. We did in fact have that meeting. At that time, the commission staff offered time limits and a format that's identical in its essence to the 2020 U.S. Senate debate, which we co-sponsored, which had won an Emmy, a Rocky Mountain Emmy. We didn't receive a proposal from the House campaign at that time, or at any time prior to the new deadline day of September 2nd. Now, obviously, that's in the past, but it's important, obviously, to understand here that we as staff, and certainly our voter education staff, and Gina and her colleagues, we're not part of the political process, right? This is, our role here is to try to bring folks together, to bring information, bring candidates to voters, and connect voters to candidates in an effort to promote participation under the Clean Elections Act. But that's how we've transacted things thus far. But as I said at the outset, out of respect to the candidates who put themselves forward with to run for governor, we felt the need to, elevate the question to the board. So that's what's in front of you today. I know it's a lot of background, and I apologize if I've gone on too long, but I did want to sort of set the stage for this. Obviously, we have a perspective on certain aspects of this that we're happy to, take questions about if you have specific questions. But that kind of introduces the issue from our perspective.
Tom, one question. In the communications, back in July, the invite on August 10, was there an explanation to the campaigns as to what the format of the debate would be? And if so, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yes, there was a communication that did that. I will have it up for you now. So the August 10th invitation explained that this would be a first of its kind event in terms of the broadcast reach that the Broadcasters Association was offering. Debate was planned at that time would have aired across dozens of TV and radio stations in Arizona. The debate itself was set to be at Arizona PBS Studios in downtown Phoenix. It would rely on moderator Ted Simons to help lead the conversation. It stated that our goal was to provide candidates a professional, respectful, and meaningful environment so they can communicate directly to the voters of Arizona about the issues important to their campaign. We then provided an additional document spelling out the details. That document stated the arrival time. It stated, what the airtime would be. It described and provided an illustration of the stage. Our primary debates featured a sort of a sit-down thing, and we've kind of gone back and forth over years. That's one aspect we've always kind of, between the sitting and standing. We felt in this case that the standing worked effectively in the 2020 Senate debate, which was, they said, award-winning, which is important to us. And we featured that illustration. The format described how Ted Simons would moderate, that Ted would have editorial control over the questions, and we don't provide specific debate questions ahead of time. Each candidate would have a 1-minute opening statement that would be in the order that would be randomly selected. The format was set as follows: that Ted will follow, in the first half, Ted will follow a formal format in directing questions to specific candidates and maintaining control over time and interruptions. While there's no set time limit in the initial communication for responses, Ted will ensure the discussion progresses. And then for the second half of the debate, we proposed that each candidate would be allowed to respond to questions with more interaction between the candidates, and that Ted would moderate to ensure that no one candidate dominated the debate. We described some of the issues around technical issues around, where candidates would be situated before the debate, who would be in the studio, and then the reach, and then some for their planning purposes, how other media members would, how they would be situated at the physical location.
Okay, and then that was August 10, I believe you said, and then on August 22nd, you heard from the Hobbs campaign about format changes. Can you elaborate on what specific format changes they suggested, if any?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. At that time, the communication from the Hobbs campaign was we had sent us 2 subsequent communications, one about COVID and one about protocols at ASU, and one about another, telling them that we had added additional partners to our live stream. And they wrote in on the 22nd and said, will you be having any additional changes to the format? And at that time, as I said, we didn't. Our response was we didn't, because none had been suggested to us. In other words, we did not have, if you will, sua sponte changes to the debate format that we suggested at that time. But we did not receive a proposal or details as to what changes the Hobbs campaign was.
And if I understand the history correctly, Tom, the Hobbs campaign has not come forward with specific format changes such as 2 minutes per question, equal time, things that you might expect to see in a negotiation debate format. Has that ever come forward specifically?
Well, I mean, we received the letter on September 2nd. That was the first proposal we received that had details. There was one intervening conversation between the Hobbs campaign and the elections and PBS staff. But that conversation again, was one that in effect was, what changes are you, being Clean Elections and PBS, proposing? It wasn't, we didn't receive a proposal from the Hobbs campaign until the 2nd of September.
Okay. Do any other commissioners have any questions for Tom on sort of the chronology and timeline of events there?
Mr. Chairman, this is Commissioner Kimball.
Go ahead, Commissioner Kimball.
So Tom, what exactly was the proposal that you received from the Hobbs campaign on September 2nd?
Sure. That proposal, this is in your materials. I think this is the first item you received with the agenda on whatever day you received the agenda. I apologize. I remember days this week any longer. So that proposal, at the second page of that proposal, details that in place of the current debate structure, the Hobbs campaign said we would like to provide voters with a venue that allows Arizonans the chance to compare the ideas, policies, and solutions of their candidate. And we propose each candidate conducts a separate 30-minute town hall style interview with Ted Simons, which could appear back to back in the same hour. Each candidate would have 1 minute to make opening and closing statements, as in the original proposal. And Mr. Simons would then have full license to conduct his interview and ask the questions of his choosing.
Okay, so Tom, I just want to make sure that the original deadline to accept the invitation was September 26th. And it wasn't until a week after that deadline that you got this proposal that essentially changes it from a debate to 2 town halls. Is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Kimball, the original date was August 26th, and then on September 2nd, we received the change. And I would say that the proposal says town hall. I mean, we haven't. I'm not sure precisely what that term means, but yeah, that's the chronology.
Thank you.
Commissioner Payton or Commissioner Titler, do you have any questions for Tom on this? Okay, and then
Yeah, this is Commissioner Titler.
Go ahead, Commissioner Titlow.
Yeah, Tom, did you receive a response from the other candidate on
Yes.
this issue?
Uh,
And what did that response say?
Yes. Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Titlow, yes, we did. We received one last night, which we just were able to distribute to you all late last night. That, with respect to the specific response format wise, I think you're asking, Mr. Titlow, am I correct there?
Yeah, well, can you read what the response said?
So, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Titlow, I'm going to read specifically from the aspect of it, and I can read the whole thing if you want me to, but I'll start with the aspect of it.
Can you read the entire thing?
Sure. Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Titlow,
It's
happy
a
to.
couple pages long, Commissioner.
It's-
But
Well, I'm happy to. I'm happy to. So this was dated September 7th. To whom it may concern, we are sorely disappointed, but not surprised with that Katie Hobbs is sabotaging the Clean Elections Commission efforts to put together a gubernatorial debate, as it has successfully done for years up until now. As a former award-winning journalist, Carrie Lake passionately believes that the voters of Arizona deserve at least one opportunity to see their two candidates side by side debating the issues of the day. That's why she made it clear she would accept the commission's invitation debate with any format, with the reasonable expectation that Katie Hobbs would be on stage with her. The town hall format that Katie Hobbs proposed last week is not a debate, but a safe space for any serious criticism or scrutiny of her record. Perhaps Katie Hobbs is worried that Carrie Lake will bring up her record of, and obviously, record of convictions for racial and sexual discrimination on live television. She should be, but facing criticism and taking responsibility for your record in front of the voters is one of the most basic qualifications of leadership. Hobbs is failing at it spectacularly. Carrie Lake will not take part in the town hall format that Katie Hobbs has proposed, and we call on the commission to reject it as well. On September 7th, Lake and Hobbs are taking part in the style of forum put on by the Chamber of Commerce with the Hobbs demanded setup. Once again, this has highlighted how afraid and unsure Katie Hobbs is of her own positions and policies. The Clean Elections Commission is the only organization in the state that has the opportunity to put together a genuine debate between the two candidates for the people of Arizona. Carrie Lake will not go along with Katie Hobbs' attempt to sabotage it, and neither should the commission. We're calling on the commission to schedule the debate as planned with two podiums on stage. Carrie Lake will be there to answer any and all questions from the moderator. If at some point Katie Hobbs decides to show up, Carrie Lake will be more than happy to share the stage with her. If she does not show up, that is a revealing fact that the voters of Arizona deserve to know as well. Hobbs' strategy may be to avoid facing any real scrutiny from voters or the press for this entire campaign, but the Clean Elections Commission cannot allow itself to become a pawn in her game and set a dangerous new precedent that allows candidates to hide from the voters without any repercussions. In addition, we are calling on Commissioner Chan to recuse herself from the commission's deliberations and vote on this matter. Given that Chan currently works as general counsel in the Katie Hobbs Secretary of State's office, her involvement evokes a clear conflict of interest that would taint the commission's decision. We look forward to scheduling the debate with you, and we sincerely hope that Hobbs ultimately decides to attend. Thank you, Carrie Lake for Governor.
Thank you, Tom.
okay, any other questions from the commissioners? Okay, so now, I mean, Tom, I have some thoughts on this. I don't know if you want me to share those now, or if you want me to, if we want to hear from the Hobbs and the Lake campaigns first.
Sorry.
I think it might make more sense for me to maybe share those now to give them an opportunity to address sort of how I'm seeing things, and maybe we'll have our commissioners sort of share their thoughts, so that way we can have a more focused discussion from any representative of the Hobbs or Lake campaign that wants to speak. Does that work for you?
And Mr. Chairman, I mean, I think on that, it's certainly your discretion to unless Bill says otherwise, to do it in that way. And I think that might be an orderly way to kind of narrow the issues to the extent that you monitor as you go through.
And I guess I should ask, do we have representatives from the Hobbs in the Lake campaign here to speak or no?
I'm
We
here
have-
on behalf of Kerry Lake for Arizona, Mr. Chairman, Timothy Lasota.
Okay.
And I'm here on behalf of the Katie Hobbs campaign,
And I'm sorry, what was your name? Okay, Nicole.
Nicole DeMont.
All right, well, I kind of want to share my thoughts here and then we'll open up the floor to other commissioners and then we'll hear from Mr. DeSoto and Ms. DeMont. But, you know, I have some notes here. I've spent a lot of time thinking about this issue since, you know, last Friday when we received Ms. DeMont's letter. And I've tried to approach this from two perspectives. That is, one, what is the purpose of the Clean Elections Commission? And then two, you know, what is best for Arizona voters? And on the first issue of what the purpose of the Clean Elections Commission is, I mean, Tom shared a lot of that, spoke on that in his comments. So I'll just say, you know, from my perspective, you know, voter education is at the top of the list of what we do. We provide voters with information on candidates through the Clean Elections Voter Guide. And, you know, of course, we provided voter education and opportunities for voters to evaluate candidates in the debates that we have aired with PBS, and we've done that for 20 some years. As Tom said, Ted Simons has moderated debates and he does in my opinion, he does a great job, and others as well, as he's an Emmy Award winner. On the second issue of how I've approached this, and that is what is best for Arizona voters. In my opinion, it would be most beneficial for Arizona voters to have the opportunity to see a live debate between our two candidates for governor. So from my perspective, where I'm sitting right now is I don't believe that the commission should accept Secretary Hobbs' proposal of these back-to-back 30-minute town hall interviews. I do, however, I want to acknowledge the concerns of the Hobbs campaign that any debate needs to be a fair and reasoned debate. Okay. Now I want to be clear. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with the statements that Ms. DeMont made in her letter on September 2nd regarding the Republican primary debate. That's not my role. That's not my job. My point is that it is in the best interest of Arizona voters for these two candidates to have a fair and reasoned debate where candidates get equal time to answer questions that uninterrupted by the other candidate and other, you know, reasonable standard debate rules and formats which we have and which we can provide. So this debate, I believe, is scheduled for October 6th. Today's September 8th. We have time. I don't see any reason why these two campaigns cannot work with Clean Elections staff and come up with a debate format so these two candidates can hold a fair and reasoned debate. Now, I do want to say that Clean Elections staff cannot do this on their own. They need engagement from the campaigns of each of the candidates. Okay. So where I'm sitting right now, what I want to see happen is I want the Clean Elections staff to work with both the Hobbs and the Lake campaigns to come to an agreement on a fair and reasoned debate format that will give Arizona voters the opportunity to evaluate these candidates. Okay. So those are my thoughts. So I think what we should do is I'd like to see staff go work with the campaigns for 2 weeks, come back, see what you can accomplish on getting a debate format in place. I don't support the town hall style. That's not what the commission has done. I don't think it's beneficial to the Arizona voters. So there's my thoughts. And then I'd like to hear from the other commissioners on where they stand, and then we'll turn it over to the respective campaigns to speak to the commission.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Commissioner Kimball.
Let me say, first of all, I agree with you, but only up to a point. Setting aside all the posturing and campaigning in statements from both campaigns, it seems to me that we have a format that we have used for a number of years that has been successful, that has given the voters of Arizona the opportunity to compare and contrast the candidates face to face. And I think there's a problem with timing in this. We send out the proposed format in the first half of August, and then not until September do we get a response from the Hobbs campaign proposing not minor tinkering around the edges, but a complete revamp of the whole thing. And while I would like to hope that some agreement could be reached between the two sides, I think that's unrealistic. I think that it's incumbent on us to say enough. This is the format that we have set up. I think it would be unfair to either campaign if at the last minute, and this is almost the last minute in terms of setting up a debate of this magnitude, late in the process, we change the process. And I don't, I would not support that. And I would like to think that these two sides could have a kumbaya moment and come together and say, let's do this. But as you said, Mr. Chairman, I do not support a town hall agreement. A town hall setup. I think the debate setup that we have and the moderator that we have has proven in the past to be effective and a service to the voters. And I would support just moving ahead with that right now. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Kimball. Commissioner Payton or Commissioner Titla?
Yes, this is Commissioner Payton. I'm sorry, I've been ill for a while, but I do have thoughts on this matter. For 6 years, I've been on the commission. I've really pushed for debates, as many as we could get, as informative as we could get, to put them in schools, to educate the electorate. The electorate often is busy and whatever, and our job, as I see it, is to get these candidates together, and the electorate can see them face to face, challenged by each other, and defending their platforms and their records and so on. And so I agree with the other two. I think our mission is to have debates, not town halls. If they want to do town halls, they can do that somewhere else with somebody else sponsoring it. I think our mission is to do debates, and I challenge them to find anybody more fair than Gina Roberts and Tom, and to put these together to be fair to all, to educate everybody. This is our top elected official. You want to represent almost 8 million Arizonans. We need to see a debate between these two. And that's my response.
Thank you, Commissioner Payton. Commissioner Titla, do you have any thoughts you want to share with the commission?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I agree with the chairman's statements here. I think that regarding the fair and reasoned debate that he was talking about, and I agree that we need to, our job in the statutes of clean elections is to reach out to all the people in the four corners of the state of Arizona, is what I say, including all peoples that are in Arizona. So I agree with that. And as far as a fair and reasonable debate is concerned, I think that, like the chairman said, there's time for the two campaigns to get together with our staff and see if they can come up with some sort of solution that will be fair to all. And there'll be some sort of negotiation. Not everybody's going to be happy with what they want in the respective talks they're going to have. So, but I think that we have time here, like the chairman said, and I agree with that. Maybe give them a couple of weeks and see what they can come up with. With regard to the debate or talk between the campaigns itself, I kind of agree with Hobbs regarding her proposal, because I think that in any debate or any talks coming up, it has to be fair and reason, like the chairman said. And there should be, reasonable people talking, not speaking over each other, not insulting one another in front of people. That's just not reasonable, and that's not fair to each other. So if you're going to have really unreasonable debate where all you're doing is rehashing the 2020 election, and you're insulting the other person and not bringing your own ideas for the state of Arizona forward, then that is no debate, and that's not fair, that's not reasonable, and that's not good for the state of Arizona and the citizens. Now, I'm an Apache from the San Carlos Apache Reservation. In the Apache way, leaders are given, time to speak, but they need to respect each other. They don't insult one another. They don't speak over one another, and they give fair time to each other. And that's what the people, the citizens, the Apache people, that's what they like. In this case, I think that we should have the same thing. We should have fair, reasoned debate without insults, without talking to one another. And if you're going to have that kind of thing, that's no debate at all. And like Hobbes says, I think that it's just, I just don't agree with that. So I kind of lean toward Hobbes here and what she's saying. But then I agree with Chairman here also that we give them a couple of weeks, see what they can work out. And let's come back in a couple of weeks and see what we can do here to be fair to everybody concerned. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Titla. At this point in time, I would like to hear from Ms. DeMont from the Hobbs campaign. Ms. DeMont.
Yes, thank you for having us and for this discussion. I think I might just start by clarifying a logistical thing, which is that on August 29th, Clean Elections sent us a revised date for the debate. It had originally been scheduled for October 5th, and then it came to your all attention that was a Jewish holiday, and it was rescheduled for October 12th. And Clean Elections gave the campaigns until September 2nd to respond. And so we did respond by the deadline. So I just wanted to be clear about that. And then since you read the Lake campaign's entire letter and didn't do the same for us, I think I might just drop that in the chat so that everybody has access to that, because I think it's an important part of this conversation. And so I'm echoing. Okay. Well, just to reiterate some of what is in that letter, and to be clear about our intention here, Secretary Hobbs firmly believes that every Arizonan deserves the opportunity to evaluate their candidates for public office. And she is willing and enthusiastic to participate in a substantive conversation that would allow Arizonans the chance to compare the ideas, policies, and solutions of their candidates. However, we don't believe that is what Kari Lake's intention is here. And I think it's pretty clear that she only wants to create another spectacle like we saw in the GOP primary debate. One thing I would point out too, as more evidence that she's only intending to create a spectacle, and something that wasn't mentioned here. If one candidate does not agree to the debate, the way Clean Elections proceeds is by hosting a town hall style forum with just one candidate. And so that has happened in the past, and Clean Elections did confirm to me that Carrie Lake previously said she would participate in that town hall style forum if our campaign did not come to an agreement. And then yesterday, she went back on her commitment and now has declined that invitation. And so I think that's how you can very much see this is just her next PR stunt, and she's not actually interested in debating real solutions. But on top of that, I would just add, you can't debate a conspiracy theorist. And at the last debate, she brought the conversation back to the 2020 election no less than a dozen times. So when she decides to come back to reality and accept the results of our free and fair elections, then we can start to have a real policy debate. And I think another piece of evidence of this is that she has repeatedly responded to this debate request with thinly veiled threats that are reminders of the violence that election officials like Secretary Hobbs are dealing with on a daily basis because of the big lie conspiracy theorists like Carrie Lake. And so all of these things, don't give us a lot of hope that she would come to this debate hoping for a real substantive policy discussion. And I just would add that we are very eager to contrast our positions with the dangerous positions that Carrie Lake has been spewing on this campaign trail. Everything from healthcare, where her position is to outlaw abortion with no exceptions for rape, incest, or the life of the woman. On education, her answer is to put government cameras in classrooms to spy on children, and she wants to let anyone own rocket launchers without any restrictions whatsoever. So we would be
Ms.
eager
DeMont,
to have
Ms.
this
DeMont, I just
conversation.
want to, Ms. DeMont, I apologize, but I want to try to constrain the comments to, the debate format. I don't want this to create I don't want this to be a forum for issue advocacy on either side. So let's try to just focus on the central issue here, which is the issue of a debate. So
Right.
sorry to interrupt
So
you. Please continue.
Right. So the last thing I was going to say is that given that she's shown no ability and no interest in participating in anything that would resemble a public debate about substantive policy proposals, we on September 2nd, as I just dropped in the chat, proposed very sensible modifications that are based on the Clean Elections format that would give voters an honest look at the candidates' policy plans, but also avoid the pitfalls of the GOP primary debate that turned Arizona into the subject of national ridicule. And so we do look forward to continuing to engage with you all and finding a mutually agreed upon date for this conversation.
Well, let me ask DeMont, is there any scenario in which Secretary Hobbs will share the stage with Ms. Lake in a traditional, I think we all can view as a traditional debate format?
Well, I'm not going to answer a hypothetical question right here, but if you want to lay out what that would look like in writing, we're happy to review it.
I don't think it is a hypothetical question. Is there any scenario where Ms. Hobbs will share the stage with Ms. Lake in a debate?
We would need to see what the details of that proposal in the
I want
format.
to share the stage.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure who that was, but do any other commissioners have any questions for Ms. DeMont? Okay, thank you, Ms. DeMont. And then I'd like to hear from Mr. DeSoto.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, and it's actually Timothy Lasota. And I do want to stick to the topic of this, what this commission is here to decide, but I think before we do that, since Ms. DeMont got into some details, I'd certainly like to say that we look forward to contrasting Carrie Lake's agenda with Katie Hobbs' radical left-wing record.
Mr. Lasota, I'm gonna.
Well, Mr. Chairman, you let her attack.
Mr. Lasota, move on, please.
Okay, so this is an unprecedented request by a gubernatorial candidate to alter the rules of the debate. Now, I'd like to share, we've been having these debates for 20 years, ever since we've had the Clean Elections Commission. We've never had one instance where a gubernatorial candidate said, oh, no, I can't debate. It would be unfair. Well, let's look at what this commission's done in the past. It's had Ted Simons, which is very well respected. The commission won an Emmy Award for its last debate. That was a contentious Senate election, and there was no issue there. This is not only an insult to the voters of Arizona that they can't look at these candidates and make a judgment for themselves. It's an insult to this commission, and it's an insult to Mr. Simons, and it's a cop-out. It's typical the way, and the fact that Katie Hobbs tries to blame someone else because she's simply unwilling to show up on the same stage and debate her record, debate the issues, that is nobody's fault but Katie Hobbs. And it's reminiscent of when she was found to have racially and sexually discriminated against Tanya Adams, that she blamed
Mr.
Senate
Lasota,
staffer
we're
Wendy Baldo.
not going down. This is not a political stage for you. So please conform this to the debate issue.
So in terms of the, I'd like to share a graphic with this
Chairman,
Has
commission.
this been provided to staff before this, Mr. Lasota?
Yes, it's right here.
No, do not share your screen, please. Okay, so I'm going to ask Tom, can you sort of step in here? Has this graphic been cleared with staff? I haven't seen it. It wasn't part of our agenda materials.
Sure.
So-
No, I apologize, and that's on that's on me. Yes, it's a screenshot of the our website, and I believe it's the attendance. We keep a running.
If it's from our website, go ahead, share it. Thank you, Mr. Lasota. I hope you understand why I just wanted to clear that.
Okay, so you can see this is straight from the commission website. You see every single statewide race. In fact, this now needs to be updated to include Blake Masters and Mark Kelly, who have agreed to participate. Well, so you go down, you see check marks in front of every single candidate, except you get to the bottom and there, what do you see? No check mark in front of Katie Hobbs. She's the only statewide candidate who has an issue with actually debating. So this should tell the commission every single thing it needs to know. This business about, well, let's go back for another 2 weeks and see if we can come up with a solution. There's two things wrong with that. First of all, this commission, as Commissioner Kimball pointed out, this commission actually, they have a standard format. They have a very well-regarded moderator. This commission is a pro at doing this. There's no need to actually talk about additional details. The candidates know what's coming. The other thing is Katie Hobbs has already told you no. She's not coming to any debate that's anything but a Katie Hobbs infomercial where she doesn't have to face tough questions about her record. So we already know the question of that. You heard Ms. DeMont dissemble when that question was put to her directly. So we already know the answer is no. The other thing I would point out, look, if the commission capitulates here, I mean, these debates are going to become a thing of the past because every single candidate who's afraid of their own record is going to say, you know what, I'm not doing a debate and I'm, we got to have this and we got to have that. It's not fair if we just debate with Mr. Simons. That's unfair. It would be a spectacle. So this commission has done the public a very good service over the years. Tom Collins did a nice job going over it. And that will become a thing of the past if this commission capitulates here, because it's going to have to say yes to every single candidate that demands changes. It should nip this thing right in the bud and not allow candidates to dictate how this forum goes about. The other thing I would say is, your statutory mandate is clear. It says the commission shall sponsor debates among candidates. This 30-minute Katie Hobbs infomercial is not a debate. So that's not a debate. It's not in your statutory mandate. It's not, the administrative code talks about that also. It says candidate debates. And nobody would call that, somebody standing in talking head fashion on the stage and just talking. That is not a debate. And it should not be entertained by this commission. Now, the other thing in terms of, this is just it's it's a defining moment for the commission, and it has to stick to its guns. The commission has done a fine job in the past of having good, robust debates. Mr. Simons is completely capable. I've been watching him for years. He's been doing these for years. Gubernatorial campaigns have been having these debates for years. Every other statewide candidate says yes. It's ridiculous at this last hour to be making changes because a candidate simply is afraid to debate. So I'd ask you to turn down this proposal. We will be at the debate on October 12th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lasota. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Lasota, any commissioners? Okay, Tom, do you have any comments or questions after we've heard from the campaigns?
No, Mr. Chairman. Obviously, myself and the remainder of the staff are available to answer any questions that any committee.
Okay, and we will now be taking public comment on this issue. And just so we set forth some ground rules here on public comment. Each member of the public who wishes to speak will be given up to 2 minutes. Our meeting coordinator will try to give you a 10-second warning before your time is up. I will be maintaining order and decorum, and I ask that anyone who speaks refrain from profanity, yelling, abusive behavior, or advocating the political agenda of either candidate. On an agenda item like this, some of the commissioners may have questions for a member of the public giving comment. If you are interested in making public comments, we ask that you click the reaction button, which I see many of you have, and then click the raise hand button. If you have raised your hand, we will get to you. When you are recognized, please slowly and clearly state your name for the record, as our meetings are being transcribed, recorded, and live streamed. Okay. So with that, I will turn this over to our meeting coordinator to take public comment on this issue. And I would also ask that if you're making public comment, you please turn your camera on so we can see you. But I'm sorry, I was muted there. We have several hands raised. I'll turn this over to the meeting coordinator to sort of do this in order, take these folks in order.
Go ahead, Deborah Bernoff.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Deborah Bernoff. I've lived in Arizona since 1980. I'm a mom, my number one job. I also own a small business here with my husband and absolutely love Arizona. You know, we're part of our community and we're active in the school. And as I said, we own our business, and Arizona has always returned the favor for our efforts. And I look back at this, you know, hearing all these words here today, and, you know, I'm sure over the past few months, my head's been spinning, my friends, our fellow small business owners, parents, everyone's heads are spinning. And it just reminded me today.
Oh, shit.
Back in 1980s, I was on the speech and debate team at Marcos Denizo High School in Tempe. And being on a debate team allows you to have an opportunity to say what you want to say, but to show everybody how you show up in the face of pressure. And I don't know any job in the state of Arizona that's more pressurized than being the governor. And so I personally would love to see both of the candidates on stage and have a conversation that we can see. And, you know, I saw the Chamber of Commerce video. Both candidates were eloquent in so many ways. Let's get them together. As a small business owner this morning, my alarm went off at 4 o'clock. I worked and worked and worked, as many of us do. We can't find employees. We have interviews and people don't show up, even though they've said they're going to show up. We cannot interview people if they are not there. I feel this is similar. I worked. I took my daughter to school today. It was emotional. Excuse me. There was a gun threat the day yesterday.
10 seconds.
Thank you. Across the street. parents are concerned. There are real issues out there that we as Arizona small business owner parents want to hear from our governors. And I'll leave you with this. My daughter is running for student body president. I talked to her about this campaign debate. She said, Mom, fear stands for face everything and rise. And I look forward to our candidates doing the same. And forgive my emotion. Talk about my kids. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bernoff.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Right. Steve Kraft.
Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Kraft, and I hope to take a whole lot less than 2 minutes. For me, this is not a partisan thing, and where the problem on the Democratic side with the Democratic candidate would be just as much of a problem. But that's not our situation. A debate is supposed to be a clash of ideas, what candidates would do if they were elected governor, so voters can take the measure of the candidates. It's just that simple. This, unfortunately, would not be a debate. It would be an insult fest. And for proof, you need look no further than the Republican primary debate for governor. That was an insult fest. It was a national joke. Kari Lake, unfortunately, has made it a foundational campaign strategy to ridicule not just questions, but questioners, to
10
mock the
seconds.
political process itself, doing a disservice to voters. Clean elections should send a message, not allow this to happen. If you want voters to have the information they need to make a decision on election day, it would be much better to have a town hall format.
All right, Ray Lee Klein.
Thank you, commissioners. I appreciate the opportunity for you opening up this up to the general public. I think it shows your dedication to the voters of Arizona and allowing us to share our thoughts with you today. I just wanted to respectfully disagree with Steve on this. I am a young voter here in the state of Arizona, 22 years old, and I represent a demographic of voters who are just getting into politics in this world. I'm a graduate of Arizona State University, and the debate is something that our generation very much looks forward to. I think this is an opportunity for both candidates to express their positions on very critical issues to our nation right now, and it allows the opportunity for we the people to decide who is the best person to represent us. We have 7.2 million Arizonans out there who are going to be led by this person, and it's our job to hire them. And the debate is our chance. It's to see them in an interview setting and to see how they respond to pressure, how they respond to challenges. A debate is not supposed to necessarily be the most friendly setting. It's supposed to provide pressure and to instigate those challenging questions that a governor and any elected position is going to have to face at one point or another during their term. So I think it's very important that we recognize this as a staple of our democracy and allowing us to see both candidates on a stage together. And I appreciate Commissioner Meyer's comments on, the voter education is your number one focus right now. And this is our chance. This is a great opportunity to educate voters on the stances of both candidates. And it's not the job of one campaign or the other to dictate what we, the people, are able to hear or not hear from both candidates. So I appreciate you guys opening up this floor, allowing us to share our thoughts. And I strongly encourage the corporation and the commission to move forward with this debate on behalf of Arizonans.
Thank you for your comments.
Alicia Ferraro.
Hi, I'm Alicia Ferraro, and I've lived in Arizona since 2005. I live in the East Valley. I'm a mom of two. My husband owns some small businesses. I'm just a typical mom that really doesn't know a lot about the political world. And for me, I make a lot of my decisions when I see candidates debate. And I know that there's a large majority of voters in Arizona who really look forward to these opportunities to hear both candidates in whatever race that they're running in, to really get that information that they're looking for so that they feel comfortable moving forward with their vote. I feel personally that a debate really does show a lot about a person's character and how they can respond under pressure and to tough questions. A lot of times voters know when someone's hiding from an answer just in the way that a candidate responds. And for me personally, I look forward to these debates and I respect what the Clean Elections does. And I think that if any changes were made for the gubernatorial debate, it would just really change a lot for the future. And I personally respect what you guys are doing and providing clean elections for everybody. And I think it's really important that the debate does move forward as it typically has in the past. And just for me personally, as a mom who's just trying to understand this political world and wanting to make the best decision for my children, I really do respect the debate forum. And I really do look forward to hearing what the candidates have to say on both sides, because I need to be educated as a mom so that I'm putting the vote into the person that will do the right thing for my children's future. Thank you for the opportunity to share my comment.
Thank you, Ms. Ferraro.
All right, Nicole with Fox, and can you please state your last name for the record?
Good afternoon, Nicole Garcia with Fox 10 News. Actually just had a couple logistic questions about the decision. I know there are 5 commissioners, but one has recused herself. So is this going to go into a vote at some point? Are you guys going to go into executive session and make the decision and then announce it afterward in this virtual format? How is this going to proceed?
Nicole, well, of course, any commissioner is entitled to make a motion on how they want the commission to proceed. So if a commissioner makes a motion, we will take a vote. And of course, if it carries, we'll move forward in that way. And if it fails, I believe the status quo will remain. But as far as which way we're going at this time, I can't answer that. But yes, I anticipate that we will reach a decision today as to how we want to proceed on this.
And would it just be 4 commissioners in this vote since Ms. Chan recused herself, or is she voting as well?
There are 5 commissioners, but Ms. Chan, because of her relationship with the Secretary of State's office, I believe she's an employee of that office, she has recused herself. So there will be 4 of the 5 commissioners that are present, and only those 4, only the commissioners have a vote.
And last question, what happens if there's a tie when you vote?
Well, in that situation, we have our legal counsel here, and I don't want to venture to say what might happen there. We might need to go in executive session to get advice on what happens if there's a tie. So,
okay. Thank you so much.
Yes, you're welcome. And Tom, do you have anything to add to that?
Absolutely not.
Okay. All right.
All right, Jennifer Leslie.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Leslie, and I'm a mom of 2. I've lived here since 2007, and I believe the debates are beneficial to the public, the general public here, to really grasp and understand how the candidates will support everyone here, whether it's one direction or another direction. And I truly appreciate this, and I would really love to see a debate happen soon. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to voice my concerns. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Wendy Saunders.
Hi, everyone. My name is Wendy Saunders, and I have lived in Arizona for 39 years, and I'm a mom of 2. And first and foremost, thank you to the commission for what you guys do for our state. We appreciate it. And I was actually very concerned when they said there wasn't going to be a debate, because obviously, you know, our democracy is that we debate. And I guess I was concerned because, you know, without a debate, how do we know who stands where and what people's beliefs are? And, you know, I agree with Commissioner Titla, hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly, and that there needs to be boundaries. But at the same time, you know, the governor is a position that if you can't handle yourself under pressure, under shots fired, so to speak, how will you handle yourself with regards to the issues of our state and standing up for us as Arizonans? And, you know, people will say that Katie Hobbs is a coward, and I don't believe she's a coward, because a coward wouldn't actually run for governor. However, when someone doesn't want to debate and stand up for what they believe in, that just leads me to believe that maybe they're worried about the things that they believe in and sharing those candidly with people. So I believe as Arizonans, we want to see who really has our best interests at heart and see how they, you know, perform in the ring, so to speak, so that we can make our decision. So thank you guys so much for what you do, and I appreciate being able to speak today.
Thank you, Ms. Saunders.
Lori, can you please state your name your last name for the record?
Lori Gray.
Thank you. You can go ahead with your comments.
Hi, I just wanted to say thank you so much for allowing me to speak and hearing my voice. Our family moved here in 2015, and we chose Arizona on purpose because of the wonderful state that it is. And I've learned over the last 5 or 6 years that all politics, in my opinion, are local. So I've been hyper focused on what happens locally. And the governorship is, the highest in the state. And I think that affects us more, even maybe more so than the presidency. So I have no way, myself, my family and friends, we have no way of knowing exactly who we're dealing with as far as who to vote for if we don't see a debate. I mean, people know Carrie Lake. He's been in people's living rooms for 20 something years, I guess. And, Miss Hobbs, I don't really know her. So I think it's important to have a debate. And I mean, if there's going to be some craziness or whatever the concern is from one of the campaigns, then so be it. And let us make that decision. That seems to make sense to me anyway. But I thank you so much. This has been a very educational process for me. And I enjoy the clean election debates. They've helped me a lot in my decision making over the last few cycles, and they're always done well. So I hope they have a debate so that we the voters can make a decision, because we don't know the people. Thank you so much.
Ms. Gray, thank you for your comments.
Dr. Dawn Penich-Thacker.
Hello, thank you all for doing this and for opening it up in this way. Since everyone is sharing their bio, I'm a mother, an educator, and have been a no party designated voter for pretty much my entire adult life. One thing I wanted to share is that the objective of this body, as I understand it, and of these, televised appearances, is for voters to learn about the candidates. The goal is the learning. The goal is not how we learn. So as I mentioned, I'm an educator. I know that I want to reach my objective. And if I have to get there different ways for different students, then that's my job. Things change, personalities are different. In the 3 years into COVID, almost, we know that we can change and adjust to get to the goal. And so to me, we've always done it this way is not a valid reason when we know that we adjust all kinds of different things to do a better job for the objective of learning about the candidates. Another point I wanted to make, and I don't think anyone has made it yet, is that following the so-called debates, kind of the shouting matches and the constant interruptions, makes it absolutely impossible for voters who are not native English speakers or who have hearing impairment to learn anything, because ASL cannot keep up with the constant interruptions and yelling, and closed captioning and translators cannot keep up with constant interruptions and yelling. So I watch these appearances with my parents who are not native English speakers, but are dedicated voters, and they learn nothing because of the ways that these debates have become. So I would rather that every voter gets to learn through a town hall than stick to a format just because it was the way it's been done for a couple decades, but not even that long, really. So thank you.
Thank you. Anthony DeWitt.
Hi, Chairman and Commissioners. I appreciate the opportunity. My name's Anthony. I'm 20 years old. I've been born and raised here in Arizona. I have to say I appreciate you guys opening this up. I think it's really important that you guys are listening to opinions, and it means a lot. And I know staying neutral is like not something we see very much. So I appreciate that. I do want to say, I'm very disappointed in the fact that, somebody who wants to run our state as a representative and CEO, the highest office, and, would be too afraid to debate, that people have been doing for 20 years, to debate her opponent. I think that, is not only, not setting a good precedent, but I think it also is indicative of, the leadership that we would see. I think that as a CEO and representative of Arizona, we need somebody who is not afraid to stand and not afraid to take heat. And anyway, I digress, but I definitely support having a debate style. I fear if we go down the route of, changing format and, changing completely the way that things have been done in future elections, people who don't want to participate or people who don't, want to have their record challenged are going to want to change and make things better for themselves and maybe kind of influence the way that voters are able to learn about record and how they are able to stand on their feet. And
10 seconds.
I think that debates have a very important role, and this is probably going to be the only one that we see. So I do ask really quick, maybe, instead of 2 weeks, I think that's too much time. I think, maybe just one more deadline of something like tomorrow, maybe send it to both campaigns. If they want to commit, then, maybe by tomorrow,
Please wrap.
we'll have our answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony.
Lamani Velia Flores.
I had no idea that my phone had still said that. Well, so I'm using my mother's Zoom that she uses on this phone. So my actual name is William Pounds. I am a candidate for Arizona governor, and I'm not going to promote my campaign with this time allotted to me to speak before the commission. I'm only here to ask a question. Will you let me debate, given the vacancy that you may have on this stage, should you choose to pursue a traditional election? I am hoping that the commission considers inviting both me, the independent Green Party candidate, and my libertarian opponent, Barry Hess, to this debate to engage Kari Lake in a civilized exchange of ideas. Debates are meant to change the minds of your opponent. And that is how they should always be. And that's how I think it will be with just the three of us on stage. Thank you for allowing me to bring my words to your attention, members of the commission.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Collins.
All right, and we did have one person that had to leave, Ashley Tressel. I would like to read her comment as it was put in the chat. She said, must leave, but for public comment, the entire meeting has been about a debate. If Hobbs does not want to debate, then she is declining the invitation. What's best for Arizona is to have both women debate. So then with that, we will go to the next person, Tyler, and can you please include your last name for the record and then proceed with your comments?
Yes, my name is Tyler Brugman, and I'm sorry I missed the beginning of this meeting. I had another meeting to go to, but I appreciate all your help with, leading this meeting. I'm born and raised in Arizona. I'm 28 years old now. I was never into politics, but at this point in my life, I understand that politics is important, and I don't know too much about it yet. Try to follow it, but you see these attack ads and this and that on TV and, from multiple campaigns, and you don't know who to believe and what's true and where people really stand on issues. And I really feel like, as a former athlete, the best way to set the record straight is for both candidates to come to the table and explain their stance on various issues. And I know people have referred to this potential debate as, bullets flying. And, I don't see this being a war zone, and it shouldn't be. It's a job interview to be the CEO of our state. And that should be a bipartisan issue People should have to answer the tough questions on both sides of the aisle and really give the Arizona voters a realistic and practical view and an image of who they really are. And I think going to some town hall that somebody mentioned, those can be tailored to, really highlight a certain candidate and cover, any dirt. And what I want as a voter is to see both candidates there together on a neutral playing field, so to speak. And, I want both candidates to have to answer tough questions and speak to their stance on issues that affect us on a daily life and so on and so forth. So, I think politics are important. I don't think that this is going to be some super hostile environment. If you walk into a job interview, you're going to be asked tough questions, and that's exactly what this is. And both candidates should have to answer to that. Thank you.
All right, Maggie Smith.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maggie. I was born in Illinois, but I moved here when I was 5. So I've been here for most of my life. I'm 22 years old. And so the reason why I wanted to just come on here and first off, thank you so much for opening this to everyone. But the reason why I wanted to comment is because I've been seeing a lot on social media that no matter what side of the political aisle people are on, there's been a lot of people that have been saying, like, Katie, like, you need to debate, like, what's going on. And I agree with that. I think that it should be a formal debate and traditional. I believe that both candidates should be on stage. And for all my life, I've been really out of the way. I haven't really been involved with politics too much. But now that this is could be a big change, I just feel like that if they made drastic changes on behalf of the committee, or I'm sorry, of the commission, I think that it would cause a lot of issues and a lot of stress and even a big impact, a negative impact, I would say, in the future for future Arizona elections. And as a voter, I am ready. I am ready to hear it. I am ready to hear the questions. I'm ready to hear both candidates answer the questions on stage. I don't think it's going to be a screaming match. I don't think it's going to be hostile at all. I think it's going to be something that all voters of Arizona should be looking forward to from all sides of the spectrum. Thank you for putting this on. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Alex Calabresi.
Hi, thank you. Thanks to the commission for opening this up as well. I appreciate being able to have our voices heard. I am an educator like Dr. Punich Thacker as well, and have lived here since 2000 in Arizona. And I really wasn't planning on speaking, to be honest, but I've enjoyed listening to this. But I did feel compelled to, because I think what's most important is that voters know the stances on the issues, right? And that they are informed, and everyone wants that. What is best to make sure that happens? I think we should really, consider that. And if that's a different way of doing it, maybe, that really should be considered. And if it's not, then how do we make sure that happens so that the voters are best informed? That's what matters most to everyone, I believe. So thanks for letting me share my thoughts.
Thank you. Cottle, could you please state your full name for the record and then proceed with your comments?
Yeah,
Hi,
hi.
yes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Did you say Caudle?
Yes.
Yes, Cottle,
Okay.
and Kyle, I can get to you next.
Okay. Yes. My name is Lynn-Ann Caudle, and I am a resident of Mesa, Arizona. I'm married and I've got 4 children. And thank you so much for the people that have put this together. It's so much appreciated. And as a voter, as a resident of Arizona for 18 years, I'm more and more concerned about my future and my children's future. And I love Arizona. I love it dearly. And I believe that I'm actually really surprised that this is even a question of having a debate for the people that are running to be able to to have the position to say whether our businesses are going to be closed or not because of a mandate or some health risk or whatever it might be. I really feel that in that position as a voter, I want to see live. I want to see gestures and facial expressions and the choice of words that they use to see who is going to be the very best person that is going to keep my business open, keep us healthy, keep education strong, all the things that are important to all of us. And the way to do it, I feel, is to really see face to face, whether it's on a screen or if I'm there in person, it doesn't matter. I really feel that a debate needs to happen. And I'm surprised also that only one debate is a topic. I think there should be more than one if possible. Thank you so much. And also just a shout out to the 20 somethings that are on the call. You guys are great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do we have one more for public comment? Or I know we have Kyle, I believe.
Yeah, right here. If I could just make a quick statement. Thank you for your time and thank you for everything that you do. I've been up in Show Low, Arizona resident for the past 15 years.
Can we get your name up for the record, please? Sorry.
Yeah, Kyle Conklin. Thank you. And what I did back home was I was a hockey coach. And every training camp, it seemed like we had one spot at the end of the camp and we had 2 bodies for that. And we always wanted to have like this face-to-face pose down to see what everybody could do when the pressure was on. And that's what I feel that your debates are. If they just want to speak for 20 minutes or a half hour, they can do that at any one of their current campaign spots. You doing the debate changes the dynamic of that. So everybody in the state can see what it's like when the pressure's on, when they're face-to-face. And this is a tough job. It's not in an incubator. They need to make tough decisions at difficult times. That's why I think the debate in the current format is exactly what we need. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else for public comment?
We did have one person include their comment in the chat as they are unable to speak due to their location. So this is from Rachel Valancourt. She says, I moved to Arizona to start a family and I deserve to know my options for governor. By refusing to debate Kari Lake, Katie Hobbs is paving the way for any future gubernatorial candidate who may be afraid or unwilling to debate. This decision affects not just the next 4 years, but the future of Arizona and breaks a tradition from the last 20 years of gubernatorial races. I can watch media interviews, town halls, and press conferences from either candidate, but the gubernatorial debate is a specific format that Arizonans deserve and have to portray both candidates' intentions for the office of governor of Arizona. And that is the end of her statement.
Thank you. So just to confirm, no one else for public comment. Okay.
Heather McLean, mobile.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that was, but I don't think it was public comment. Okay, so now I want to open it back up to the commissioners, and I'll just make a note. I was sort of trying to keep track of a tally of the public comment, and I do want to thank the public and all of you who spoke and shared your opinions. That is very valuable to me. I really appreciate that. And I sort of kept a straw tally, and of the 16 public comments, or maybe 17, I had 13 who want to see a debate, 3 that are willing to sort of either no debate or town hall. And so 13-3 in favor of debate. I just wanted to make that known. And I guess I want to open it up. Is there any comment from the other commissioners after
Chairman.
public comment.
Yeah, Chairman.
Go ahead, Commissioner
Steve
Titler.
Titler. I would like to make a motion that we go along with what you said earlier, that we give the two campaigns 2 weeks to see whether we can come up with some resolution of the talks that are to come up. Keeping in mind what the public said here. And I think that one thing that was very important to me was that our job is to reach the voters, voter education. And one of the people that spoke said that was very hard for people that did not speak the language or that were learning, and people that were hard of hearing, to understand when they were shouting and when they were speaking over each other and interruptions. So we need to come up with some boundaries as far as that is concerned, so that everybody can we can reach everybody in the state. So I'd like to make that motion.
All right, so I guess Commissioner Titler, I'd like to table that motion and see if we have other comment from the other commissioners before we vote on that. I believe I'm allowed to do that. Tom? You're muted, Tom.
Really testing my Robert's rules here. Mr. Chairman, just to make the record clear, it might be helpful if you were able to ask Commissioner Titler if he was willing to withdraw the motion momentarily, with the understanding that there would be more discussion before that, if that would at least make the record as clear as possible.
Sure, thank you. Hey, Commissioner Titler, I respectfully, I appreciate your motion. I would ask, can we get more discussion, or at least the opportunity for discussion among the commissioners before we vote on that motion?
Yeah, I think that'd be good. Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
So just for the record here, are you, I'm allowing you to, I'm asking that you withdraw your motion, but giving you the right to reassert it here after we have a discussion. Does that work for you, Commissioner?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I withdraw the motion until you can have more.
Sure. I guess just a couple comments I'll make, and that is, I think the public comment is consistent with what several of us are saying, is that we want to see a debate happen. I want to see a debate happen. I'm not going to speak for the other commissioners. And I am personally not interested in the town hall. I do want to note, I think these candidates can have the opportunity to do a town hall type interview or process in other forums, other media outlets. I think would provide that opportunity. And one other thing I want to say is I do appreciate concerns about altering the format of the debates and altering it in a significant way. And when I had suggested earlier that we give our staff and the campaigns a chance to discuss format, I am not advocating for a significant change, just that there's a firm understanding of who gets what time, interruptions won't be tolerated. Maybe, tightening things up a little bit so every candidate understands, both candidates understand what those rules would be. And one of the reasons I think we should consider doing that, and whether it's a week or 2 weeks, I'm not sure is significant, is I think it's fair to say I'm 45 years old, and we are living in a political environment that we have not seen before, in the divisiveness that is going on in our country today. And I think that due to the reality of what we're currently living in, I think that there is merit to trying to maybe give a little more structure and some minor modifications to this debate process, just so we have both candidates have a complete understanding of what the rules will be, what the consequences will be if those rules are broken. Whether that's turning someone's mic off, whether that's, whatever that might be. But I do want to make clear, in no way are we talking about regulating content of what either candidate can or cannot say. That is, if someone wants to make a claim, then they're going to have to live with that claim. But I don't think it's this commission's or anyone else's role to tell people what they can and can't say. So I think I am still of the opinion that I want to see a debate happen. I would like to give, if nothing else, I'd like to give both campaigns the opportunity to accept this invitation to debate, to agree to a debate on October 12th, and not just decide today either yes or no, we're going forward with it. So that is sort of where I am at. I still think it makes sense to send, ask the staff and the campaigns to work together to tighten up the procedure and the format, and have that debate on October 12th. So that's where I'm at. And I want to sort of open it up to other commissioners and their thoughts. I see Commissioner Payton on my screen. Do you have anything to add, Commissioner Payton?
Yes. Well, maybe Tom can talk about the reasons for whatever deadlines. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand their logistics problems and so on. So maybe he could address that before we just throw out a date.
Sure.
Whatever.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, please.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Payton. So, the couple things, I mean, we have, and Gina's here and she can correct me if I'm speaking completely wrongly, but the October 12th date, we have the PBS time still as one way or the other, because we were going to use it one way or the other under the terms that we had. Now, the thing we won't have, for sure, we won't have is the broadcast reach and all that other stuff. There's no way to ask the Broadcaster Association and the Newspaper Association to just, hold that time that long. So, that's what we lose. Literally speaking, I think that, the reasons for so the reasons we had set the deadline of the 2nd was to, because after that, we really can't guarantee things. I do still have that October 12th date. What we would do if we were to, get given some time here, we would first of all obviously contact PBS to, make sure we have that date and all that set in place, and that still works for them, which I believe it will. And then, but the main reason, the additional reason to, have a deadline here is twofold. Number one, we need a deadline in order to ensure that, we can actually properly tell people this debate exists, right? This is part of a broader voter education plan that the commission approved in, I want to say January or February. And so, there are important dates in that we, as I said, the statewide debates start next week. So we want to be in the best position to let voters know that, in fact, this event is going to occur. And then obviously we want to make sure that Ed Hyman's and his staff at PBS have the amount of time they need to prepare for whatever is there, and to work through any technical requirements that would be necessary in order to ensure that any rules that we might be able to come to an agreement with the candidates on were done. So that's, I hope that answers your question, Commissioner Payton. Gina, obviously.
I guess, what's a drop dead date then?
The drop dead date is a very difficult question, because if we were to say that the drop, I mean, essentially, if we were to say to PBS, well, the drop dead date, let's say it's 5 o'clock on October 12th when the lights go on, right? That's not reasonable to PBS for prep time. It's not reasonable to actually get the public aware of what's happening. So I think that, and it's also not reasonable because we just haven't had the engagement we need from the candidates, and we haven't had the sort of imprimatur of the commission to undertake what we would undertake under Mr. Chairman's and Commissioner Titla's point. So I would say that 2 weeks would be about as long. And correct me, jump in here and tell me, but I would say 2 weeks at the outside would be,
Mr. Chairman, commissioners, if I may. Yes, Tom. I'm very hesitant even with 2 weeks, just from an administrative standpoint. Purely from administrative standpoint, I would be hesitant to look at 2 weeks. A week is, at this point, we are well past our deadline that we have asked. And again, for many of the reasons that Tom noted, public communication is a big one of them. We do outreach to voters across the state, soliciting questions. We have questions coming in now. And so I think clarity for voters on how the format will proceed, which candidates are participating, are important to solicit their input to shape the conversation of the debate, which is really what we want. We put a priority on voter questions as they come in. Also, I think it's important that, the candidates have enough time as well to prepare for whatever that agreed upon format is. And also, there, as Tom had mentioned, our partnerships with the Arizona Broadcasters Association and the Arizona Newspapers Association. These folks are giving up revenues and time for this public service to stream these. Sometimes, in some cases, they have to get permission from their corporate offices. And so being able to secure those partnerships, which is very important to making sure that voters across the state, not just Maricopa County, but our rural areas, all four corners of the state, have access to this debate is very important. So, I think having confirmation on how we will proceed as soon as possible is in the best interest of the voters, for having clarity, for knowing how to submit their questions and what to expect, but also for the candidates and how to prepare. And then also from an administrative standpoint, for us to be able to solicit those questions, to answer questions with our partnerships, whether it's the Broadcasters Association or Arizona PBS, to ensure we have the logistics in place. Just from an administrative standpoint, we're at the point, in my opinion, now where clarity would be much appreciated at this point. But in terms of how much time do we have to extend it, I would see that we do not go past a week would be my preference, just again, purely administrative.
Gina, thank you for explaining sort of how complex this is and how much behind the scenes things need to happen to make this work. And that's why these dates were put out there in the first place. So I do appreciate that. The other comment I want to make about sort of any minor changes to format or sort of just sort of tightening up the format is, I know our staff had already, engaged and met with the Hobbs campaign, for that purpose. So I don't feel like that is an unusual thing that we do in debates for this level of office. It's typical to meet with both campaigns and sort of iron out the minor details, is it not, Tom or Gina?
Mr. Chairman, our view has been that, we get feedback from candidates regularly. And I mean, most of the time, candidates, representatives are quick to pick up the phone and get a hold of Gina. It's pretty much been that standard practice, and we regularly deal with articulated concerns about, and that is to say, directly articulated to the Clean Elections Commission staff concerns about debates, and we do try to work through those. Now, as far as the format stuff, obviously this is a different, different sort of in kind in terms of the particular suggestion we started with today. But yeah, I mean, that's sort of been our, I don't know, Gina, you could probably answer this better than I can, but I mean, that's sort of how everything has always gone. We've always felt like our doors are open, our phones are on, our email is available, we reply promptly, we believe in transparency with the candidates and the representatives. We're a government agency. We're not a political agency. We're not part of any other, we're not a private foundation. We are a government agency, and this is how we think we ought to do business.
Okay. Commissioner Payton, do you have anything to add? I'm sorry, do you have anything more to add, Commissioner Payton?
I mean, I would not be opposed if Gina's okay and Tom's okay. I need to go the extra mile to say, all right, so you got a week and either get this done or we don't. As far as going to another format, I'm totally, as far as like town halls or whatever, do that on your own. I have no interest in that. I think it's trying to subvert what we've been doing, and it will cause problems in the future. And so I would be willing to say, let's give them a week, and if that's not satisfactory, we can't get it done, then I guess we don't have the debate.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Kimmel.
I initially was opposed to a delay, and I listened to all the comments, and I thought many of them were very thoughtful, and I think I'm still opposed to a delay. I don't understand what we're going to do during this week period or whatever it is. Are we saying that it is going to be a debate? And we'll tinker with some of the format, but we're going to put some guidelines on it saying it's going to be a debate. Well, I think Secretary Hobbs has already made clear that that is not acceptable to her. And she doesn't want anything resembling a debate for the reasons she's outlined. I'm not sure what we're hoping to accomplish if we delay this for a week. If we just say, go out and try to get together on some things and come back in a week, I think at the very least, if we do that, we've got to say, okay, it's going to be a debate. Both sides are going to talk. I mean, what are we going to negotiate on in the next week that we can't decide on now? It seems to me both sides have made their positions very clear. Mostly what we heard during the public comment was fears about what might happen if this proceeds as a debate. And I have a lot of trust in Ted Simons to control this thing. One of the speakers, Lori, talked about if some craziness does break out, let us make the decision. That's part of what the debate is for. And I thought, I totally agree with that. I don't really understand what kind of benefit we're looking for if we delay this for any amount of time.
Okay. Well, I guess Commissioner Kimball, I mean, the question I pose then is what is the alternative that you're suggesting that we say, I mean, that, well, let me back that up. Okay. So from my chair, one reason why we would entertain a 7-week or 7-day process here is, you know, Secretary Hobbs made that proposal to us that she would prefer a town hall. I think it's clear from what 3 out of the 4 of us have said is that there's not an interest in the commission doing that. So now Secretary Hobbs's campaign knows that that's not something the commission is interested in doing, and then we can, you know, close the book on that idea and go back to, okay, how do we address, you know, the concerns that are set forth in their letter? And if we can do that in 7 days, you know, why? My thought is, I mean, again, thinking of voters, why would we not give the candidates the opportunity to get in front of the voters, and why would we not give, you know, 7 more days to the voters, let the candidates work this out? As far as parameters, I leave it to staff to iron that out, but I think It's very clear to me that what we're saying is, yes, we want a debate. We want Ted Simons to moderate it, and we want both candidates on stage. And then we want the campaigns and staff to agree upon, the particulars that happen in, most debates of this level. I understand it. So that's what I'm suggesting. And I'm not saying it's a perfect solution, but that's sort of how I see it. And that's the best result. It provides opportunity for the candidates and the voters to make this debate happen. Or the alternative is, what do we do today? Just say we're not having the debate because Hobbs has said no, and I don't like that alternative.
Mr. Chairman, no, I would suggest the alternative would be we're sticking with the format and the date that we mentioned in our correspondence with both candidates about a month ago. If we're going to be serious discussions about how the debate or how the program should unfold, it seemed like there was adequate time to bring this up between August 10th, when the letter first went out, and the end of August, the beginning of September, when the deadline was. And it seems like at some point we need to make a decision and not just say, okay, let's wait a while longer and see if we can make everyone happy. Because I don't think that's going to happen.
Commissioner Titla or Commissioner Payton, do you have anything more to add?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Steve Titla again. I think that, one of the things that probably was not anticipated was for the minorities or for the second language people or for the hard of hearing people. I don't think that we anticipated that. And so in order to tighten up those, how do we reach those people? And how do we tighten up the rules of the debate? And now, based upon all the discussions that have been had by the public and by you all, probably a debate is the best, what I'm thinking now also. Although taking the points of Hobbs and water, where you have one of the young ladies in the comments that really the shouting or the interruptions or talking over each other, the people hard of hearing, people have second languages, and a lot of them are minorities in the state of Arizona. We need to really tighten up those rules of what happens if, something like that happens in this debate. We need to tighten up the rules, and some parameters, some boundaries would be helpful. And I think in a week's time that could be done. Instead of 2 weeks, I think a week's time based on the comments made too is what I like to do. Thank you.
So I guess playing this out, Tom, Gina, if we give staff and the campaigns a week to try to come, to tighten this up, I guess, as I've been saying, and you're unable to do that, what then, I guess? Do we just say in a week that there will be no debate? I mean, how do we handle that?
Mr. Chairman, I think, if you, as we kind of think through, we haven't drafted like a specific proposed motion for this because we wanted you all to have a real, dropping back a second, I think that it's demonstrable the seriousness with which the Clean Elections Commission has taken Secretary Hobbs' proposal by extending, this discussion, having a rich, full discussion of all aspects of the proposal. Every one of you has recognized every aspect of that proposal and considered it fully on the record here today, and we have received extensive public comment. I think that for purposes of the staff direction here, and thinking forward for the next few minutes in terms of what a motion that one of the other of you might want to make, I think we're looking at something along the lines of the commission authorizes the staff to, work with the candidates to establish rules for the gubernatorial candidate debate that, as best as possible, accommodate concerns about interruptions and similar disruptions of the flow of the debate, and do so within 1 week. That would, something along those lines. So and then I think that should that time expire, right, and that week has happened, it should be the understanding, and it certainly will be our understanding as staff, that we proceed under the proposal that we initially sent out with respect to format, and that therefore, unless we were to alternatively receive like an RSVP to that event, right, the actual event we've already proposed by a week from now, we proceed with the way we stated we would in our August 10th communication.
Okay, but I guess maybe I'm asking a different question. If I understood what Gina was saying, right, about, all the things that need to happen behind the scene, don't we need a yes or a no within 1 week from today? I guess I don't see if one campaign says yes and the other campaign says no, and if we don't have two yeses within a week from today, how do we just proceed and say we're going to have a debate like we set forth in August? Or do we just say there is no debate?
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. I believe that. I thought I answered that question in there. But the answer to that question is if we were to not receive, so there's a question, I guess there is a question in front of you about whether or not this needs to be captured in a motion that I don't want to lose sight of. Okay. But to directly answer your question, yes, if we have not heard in 1 week based on everything, I don't see how we would. I think we would need to hear a yes from actually we would need a yes from Secretary Hobbs' campaign by 1 week.
Mr. Chairman, commissioners, if I could clarify too. So under our current procedure, if a candidate declines to attend, the format turns into a 30-minute Q&A session. We have already received confirmation from Ms. Lake that if she is the only candidate, she will proceed with a 30-minute Q&A. So in terms of a production standpoint, what we need to know a week from now is, are we proceeding with a 30-minute segment or a 60-minute segment? And then if I could also, because accessibility is important to us, to the commission, chairman and commissioners, just to clarify, we, throughout the entire process, we have been looking at how do we make sure that this debate is accessible for all voters. So we will have live Spanish translating. We are looking at adding a camera for live ASL. Arizona PBS, because they are public broadcasting, they are under certain requirements where they must have closed captioning. So we do make sure that we take into considerations as much as possible, how can we make sure that all voters have access to the debate? So I just wanted to share those. That is definitely upon consideration for staff as we proceed with production.
I see Mr. Lasota has his hand raised. Go ahead, Mr. Lasota.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to say, I think that if the commission is going to go in this direction, I think it does have to set parameters. I think what you mentioned earlier, Chairman Meyer, was a good start, but I think it should be clear, and I think it has been from the discussion, but I think this should be in the motion that the commission is not interested in anything but a real debate. And I think that has to be set out. I think the other interesting thing is that, the Hobbs team hasn't even said, whether they will engage at all in this process. I can speak for Carrie Lake, and we do view it as probably unnecessary. And it looks like Katie Hobbs is sort of trying to run out the clock, but we would engage in that process. I also do believe that this body should come together in a week's time, and the decision can be formalized at a public hearing. I think it was very wise, very appropriate of Mr. Collins to bring this matter before the full commission. And I think the same thing should happen in a week's time, unless, of course, there is actual agreement. But I think regardless, I think this is a decision for the body. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome, Mr. Lusoto. Any other comments from the commissioners? Well, I guess I would like them to make, I think this is going to be a 2-motion process, just so you understand what was coming from me. The first motion would be a motion. I'm going to move that we, I guess, reject Secretary Hobbs' proposal to do a town hall. And then I'll move on, depending where we are there, I may have another motion to make, but I guess I first move that the commission reject the town hall proposal set forth by Secretary Hobbs' campaign in the letter to the commission dated September 2nd, 2022. That is my motion. Is there a second to that motion?
Galen Payton, I'll second that motion.
Yeah, we have a first and a second. I'm going to call the roll on the vote. I will start with Commissioner Payton. How do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Kimball?
Aye.
Commissioner Titla?
Nay.
Okay, and I'm Commissioner Meyer, and I vote aye. So the motion, that motion carries 3-1. And then I have a second motion I'd like to make, and that is, and I'm going to try to do this as artfully as I can. I move that the commission authorizes Clean Election Commission staff over the next 7 days to attempt to engage and work with both campaigns to agree to a debate format that will lead to the two candidates participating in a debate for the purpose of aiding Arizona voters in evaluating these two candidates. And for the record, by debate, I mean with both candidates on stage at the same time to be moderated by Mr. Simons. That is my motion. Is there a second to that motion?
This is Galen Payton. I'll second that motion.
Okay. And I guess I should back up. Tom, that motion, is that sufficiently detailed, do you believe?
Well,
I mean, I guess.
we'll make it work. We can make it work.
Okay. So we have a first and a second. So now let's call the roll on that. Commissioner.
Chairman.
Oh, go ahead.
Chairman, I have a question on that. In your motion, to clarify, are we going to ensure that second language people, hard of hearing people are that we can reach them, that the debate will be able to, have parameters so that they can be accessible to those people, minorities?
Sure. And well, I guess my response to that is, of course, we want those that to happen. We want minorities, non-English language speakers, or ASL. But I believe Gina Roberts told us that is already going to happen, and that is something that's already been taken care of. So I don't know that needs to be included in the motion. So Gina, is that something you can confirm?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Titla, commissioners, we can continue to look on how we can improve that and make that a priority. So yes, we have already undertaken actions and we will continue to work on that to make sure that we have the best format as possible in terms of a production so that the debate is accessible to those who are hard of hearing or any other concerns. And we'll make sure that we can provide a production value that is equitable.
And Commissioner Titla, I guess I would urge you to make another motion after we vote on this one on that issue, if you would like. Will that work, sir?
Yeah, that's okay, because your motion was my motion. Remember that?
It was very similar. Yes, it was. Okay. Well, that's a little precursor of how this might go. But okay, so let's call the roll then. Commissioner Payton, how do you vote on my motion?
Aye.
I'm sorry?
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Kimball, how do you vote?
I agree with all of your motion except the delay, so I'm going to vote no.
Okay. Commissioner Titla, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay. And
Aye.
I vote aye as well. So the motion carries 3-1. And Tom, just so we have clarity on the record, we just passed a motion 3-1 that authorizes staff over the next 7 days to attempt to engage both the Secretary Hobbs campaign and the Lake campaign to attempt to agree to a debate format with both candidates on stage and what it would be a traditional debate to try to come to a process in the next 7 days. Okay. And if it's my understanding, based upon the prior comment, that if we cannot get an agreement on that, then it would revert to 2 30-minute town halls. Is that correct? Or no?
No, Mr. Chairman, you rejected that. It will be the.
I rejected doing that now, but I think what Gina said is by statute, we have to do that. Is that?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. That I'm not trying to argue with you. I just need to correct you about what we have proposed. We have never ever proposed 2-minute, 30-minute town halls.
Okay.
The essentially the way that it operates is that the debate set. If someone does an RSVP, the debate time still goes on, except it turns into a Q&A. That's what with the candidate who has agreed to the debate.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I think that corrects the record. Tom, is there anything else on the agenda or any other clarity? I mean, do we want to set a meeting for next week?
Well, Mr. Chairman, to answer your question, first, I do think we need to make sure we capture however Commissioner Titla would like to.
Oh, yes.
We had talked about the second motion to, to get some teeth or encouragement on the accessibility and language issue. I don't want to lose that.
Thank you. Commissioner Titla, the floor is yours if you'd like to make a motion on that issue. Commissioner Titla?
Yes, I got knocked off.
No, I said the floor is yours if you'd like to make a motion on the issue regarding accessibility that you had raised.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that the staff work on accessibility of minorities and second language people and people hard of hearing to ensure that they are able to get all the information they can from this debate that we are planning, and that the boundaries be established so that the interruptions or talking over each other or shouting not be tolerated, so that all voters can have access to everything that is being said. That's my motion.
Okay, can we get that read back?
I just want to make sure you can hear me, Chairman.
I can.
Okay. Commissioner Titla, yes, I'd like to make a motion that the staff, excuse me, that the staff work on accessibility of minorities and second language people and people hard of hearing to ensure that they are able to get all the information they can from this debate that we are planning, and that the boundaries be established so that the interruptions or talking over each other or shouting, not be tolerated, so that all voters can have access to everything that is being said.
All right, is there a second to that motion?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Kimball, I second that.
Okay. All right, we'll call the roll. Commissioner Payton,
Aye.
Commissioner Kimball,
Aye.
Commissioner Titla,
Aye.
and this is Commissioner Meyer. I vote aye. So that motion carries 4-0, and I think I think the intent of that motion is that the commission do what they can on those issues. So other than that, Tom, is there anything else that we need to cover today? I see your hand raised.
Oh, no, Mr. Chairman, I don't think so. You had mentioned briefly, if you want to meet next week, my personal view is that you've decided we have the timeline, we have a clock on it. So I will not need additional direction. I don't think I would not need an additional meeting, because I feel like the decisions here have been made.
It's essentially self-executing here. We don't need to get together again to discuss it.
I always, let me put it this way. As I said at the outset, you all are my bosses. And so therefore, when I am in a place where I don't have a very good sense of what to do, I do try to exercise my judgment and not unreasonably have this whole thing, meeting. So in this particular case, I would never say we would never ask for a meeting if we need to, but as it stands now, my expectation is, and so everybody knows, there's not going to be a meeting necessary to complete this.
Okay. And we have time to call a meeting if we would need one, and we don't need to make that decision today. Okay, so that moves us on to agenda item number 4, which is public comment. This is a time for consideration of comments and suggestions from the public. Unlike comment on specific agenda item number 3, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter or rescheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date, or responding to criticism. Does any member of the public wish to make comments at this time? You may send comments to the commission by mail or email at ccec@azcleanelections.gov. Do we have any comment from the public? I see one hand raised. All right, I will turn it over to our meeting coordinator here. As far as time, I'm gonna give everyone here 60 seconds on this. But go, I'm gonna turn over our meeting coordinator. Go ahead, please. Is our meeting coordinator there still?
Jessica, can you hear us?
Hi, yes. Anthony DeWitt, if you want to go ahead.
Hi, thanks again for the opportunity. I appreciate you guys diligently working through this, and thank you guys for, continuing forward with the debate format. I appreciate you guys working to do everything you can. I would just definitely implore you. I am kind of concerned that after a week, if you guys meet, I don't know if you guys are going to do another open forum like this, but I do implore you, please don't cancel this debate, depending on what the outcome is, if on one campaign or another. decides not to show, or the ones who have said that they already don't want a debate format, if they continue with not wanting to, participate, I would still implore you guys to continue with the debate. I think it'll be very powerful for voters to see, who takes that step. And, I think it would be a travesty, and I think it would set a bad precedent if you guys were to cancel after a week because one person doesn't want to show up. So that's just my concern, whether this debate happens. If someone decides not to show up, I think we still continue with the debate as you guys have proposed. We'll let the voters decide what to think on that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Wendy Saunders.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate being a part of this today. And thank you for the clarification on the email. I just want to say I am deeply concerned that it would be an option that either candidate could say no to this debate. That scares me to death as a resident of the state, that the person running our state would decline and have the permission to decline when it comes to representing us. So I don't know if that's like a rule. I'm not that smart to know that, but I will tell you that is so concerning to me that it would even be an option to say no. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Cottle, if you could state your full name for the record and then go ahead with yours.
Yes, hi, my name is Lynn-Ann Cottle, and I'm in full agreement with what Ms. Saunders just said. And I was wondering if in the future, I don't know if it's the role of the Clean Elections Commission to make it it is a must, it's something that if you are a gubernatorial candidate, and of course you can select whichever candidate, go down the line, but that it is imperative, it is a must that they do debate. I think that is something that should happen this election and in future elections, especially the role of governor. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Taylor Tassler.
Hi, yes, Taylor Tassler with KTAR News. I just had a quick clarification question. So if you don't hear from back from one of the candidates or they decline, so will it default to a 30-minute Q&A? Is that the default option here?
Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, but what I heard you say is if one candidate agrees to participate and the other does not, then it defaults to a Q&A with the candidate that agreed to participate. Do I have that correct?
Yes, I would like to put a lot of more legal stuff in there, but yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there any more public comment? Okay. I would entertain a motion to adjourn from, oh wait, before I do that, I just want to say to the Clean Elections Commission staff, I know how hard you've been working on this. I appreciate everything you've done. Commissioner Payton gets my vote for best comment of the day when he said you're not going to find more fair people than Gina Roberts and Tom Collins. I know you've been working hard on this. I know we've asked you to work hard for another 7 days, or hopefully you have the opportunity to do that. And I want you to know that I sincerely appreciate that. And I know we're asking a lot of you, and I really do appreciate this. And I'm asking you to do this for the Arizona voters, and I really, really appreciate what you do. So if any other commissioners want to comment, I will allow comment or a motion to adjourn. So whichever is next.
Motion.
Motion to adjourn. All right. Is there a second to that motion?
Commissioner Kimball, I second.
All right. We have a first and a second. Call the roll. Commissioner Payton,
Aye.
Commissioner Kimball,
Aye.
Commissioner Titla,
Aye.
Commissioner Meyer. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.